right, everyone. Jeff here from Auburn. Thanks for tuning in for one of our latest updates. This time we're here to talk about the U.S. beekeeping survey, and I'm joined by two lovely individuals who've really contributed a lot to that survey. The first, I think you would know if you've watched our previous updates, that is Agostina. So she's at the Auburn Bee Lab, visiting scientist from Argentina. And the other person is Nathalie, and she is working at Oregon State University. Sorry, I almost said Ohio State, Nathalie. Oregon State in Ramesh's lab. And Nathalie's been really connected to BIP for many, many years. And we'll probably talk about this in a second, but just how we're kind of like following up the previous BIP surveys. So we've also really had a lot of connections with the Apiary Inspectors of America. They really helped review the survey, helped distribute it. So I want to give a good shout out to our colleagues over at the AIA because they were really helpful for us. So just last week, we unveiled the results of our beekeeping survey, and I'm just going to pull up the screen where you can find that survey, those survey results. So if you go to the Apiary Inspectors of America website, apiaryinspectors.org, just on one of the top banners, you can click Learn More, and there's where you will see our technical abstract. So Nathalie, maybe it's useful to just highlight a little bit of the history of the survey. So do you mind giving like a quick rundown on how that survey started and where we are today?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first efforts to collect data on colony loss in the United States was started in 2007, and it was a collaboration between University of Maryland and the Apiary Inspectors of America. And then soon it kind of like shifted into this bigger project that became the Bee Informed Partnership. And the Bee Informed Partnership organized this survey for years and years after. Again, with collaboration of Apiary Inspectors, University of Maryland, and then in more recent years, Auburn University. And unfortunately, the Bee Informed Partnership had to close door late last year. And so this year, we really wanted to continue this effort. We thought it was very important to continuing having the pulse on what is the loss estimated occurring in the United States. And so Jeff took over at Auburn University, and we tried to mimic the BIP surveys and continue that effort.
Yeah, and yeah, really want to also thank the two national beekeeping organizations, American Beekeeping Federation and American Honey Producers Association, because in talking through them, they really helped, I guess, convince us that we should keep going there. So yeah, in discussions with them, they were great supporters. So Augustina, in a nutshell, what happened back in the kind of the beekeeping period of 2023, 2024? Like what's some key results that we can highlight to our audience?
Yeah, we have been reporting even higher losses than previous years for the annual. We reached out 55% of losses for this year. It is the highest point. And as we use the same methodology that BIP used to use for the calculation of the losses, we can kind of compare that these losses are even higher than previous efforts. And it seems that this year, one of the highlights points is that the commercial beekeepers reported higher losses than the backyard beekeeper, especially for winter season.
Mm-hmm.
So that changed compared to previous years. And we are trying to explore why this could be happening.
Yeah, yeah. And you can see in the screen here on the bottom right figure, you can see that there's quite an upward trajectory over the last couple of years with those commercial beekeepers and their annual losses, whereas conversely, the backyard beekeepers who are managing 50 or fewer colonies are in a decline. So yeah, super interesting and quite unique. And we had a pretty good turnout, I would say, given that this was the first year of kind of like our new survey. Commercial and sideline beekeepers were about the same numbers, whereas backyard beekeepers were a little bit down. But I think that once we ramp up our distribution, we can surely beat that 1,600 beekeepers from across the country that we had this past year. So, of course, everyone's wondering, we see these high losses. Nathalie, any kind of guesses, best guess on what was driving those, those high losses that we saw that previous winter period?
Yeah, for sure. And so one thing though that I want to make sure that we understand before is to differentiate loss with population decline. So we are talking here about the equivalent of a mortality rate for honeybee colonies, which we call loss in our lingo. But this is not to say that the population and the number of honeybee colonies in general in the United States has declined. We have seen from other surveys that that's actually pretty much stable. And so the beekeepers are able to recover from losses by making new colonies, making new splits. We, of course, in the survey, we try to get a sense of what are the causes of colony loss. So dead outs, and also that means, maybe more combination in the fall, right? And beekeepers taking the losses in the fall by actively combining. And we ask beekeepers their opinion on loss rates, and this is something that will come up hopefully in the publication that will follow. But we also get a sense from what we hear in the industry, and it definitely seemed that in this last year, commercial beekeepers in particular struggled with keeping varroa loads under actionable and reasonable threshold. So we think that this might be one of the reason that we're seeing this uptick this year.
Yeah. And talking with Anne-Marie, I was just at the American Honey Producers meeting, and Anne-Marie provided me some information that, of course, you created that figure showing that when BIP was still performing its tasks, those tech team members the previous fall were detecting really high varroa levels compared to previous years. So maybe there was a bit of a time lag effect there. So yeah, more to investigate. Another thing I want to just highlight is that we've broken down the losses by state. So on that resource page through the Apiary inspectors, you can visit kind of static maps to see what's going on in your particular area or particular region. And then we also have an interactive map created by our colleague Stephanie Rogers at Auburn too. So you can visit that interactive map and kind of play around with the states. So you can click one of the states, and then you can see how many beekeepers, for example, here in Michigan or Minnesota, 22 beekeepers participated at that. Let's go down to Auburn, where we're located, and we had 75 beekeepers participating, and they had a loss of 40%. So hopefully as we build up this new survey, we're creating lots of good resources for you all. That you can check out. We're going to try to provide as much data as possible as we move forward, and also even have documents where you can go download these maps or these figures of the losses, and people can include them in their presentation. So trying to facilitate getting this information out. So with that, I want to say happy holidays to Agostina and Nathalie, and also a thanks again to the groups that helped us drive this survey this year. Of course, unique circumstances. So the two national beekeeping associations, Apiary Inspectors of America, and then funding to help us perform this came from those beekeeping associations, plus One Hive, Project Apis M, who provided funds through the National Honey Board. So thanks also to them. So yeah, I hope everyone has a good holidays.